Hello and good evening to all of my good eggs out there. This is another edition of Alex McCarthy's Wrestling Daily. Here we are back at it again, first one of the week. And as you can see, I'm being flanked by my WrestleTalk cohort, Louis Dangoor. Louis, I would ask how you are, but I know you're not feeling amazing. So thanks for being with us, you trooper.
No, I'm good. I had an interview today with EC3 that was scheduled. And
I'm gonna send him this and be like, well, he was all right enough to be on Wrestling Daily.
I told him I'm doing this. So I messaged him and I was like, I don't think I can do this. So he sent me a video of just him calling me a mother effer, which was lovely. But no, I'm doing all right. I'm excited to be with you today for the final sort of week before Christmas.
I'm upset we don't have the video uploaded into StreamYard.
We can't because it was very. I'll send it to you afterwards. I don't think it's appropriate.
Is it very expletive laden video? Yeah. A good point coming here from Dion. Louis will win Quizzlemania. That's right, guys. Quizzlemania, the year ender, the Christmas special is going down this week. I believe it is, Lou.
Right.
Yeah, it is indeed. I don't want to give too much away, but I've spoken to Adam about this show. So take that as you will.
We'll have a chat. We'll have a little chat.
I mean, I am firmly supporting anyone who represents Wrestling Daily. So Louis, no pressure, man, but bring it home. Bring it home. Adam Southfield says, when are you going to post TV's TV rating this week, Alex? Yeah. So anyone who didn't see this, I did the ratings for AEW and NXT last week, which for some obscure reason makes everyone hate each other. I don't know why it does that.
Oh, it's awful.
And T-Bar decided to tweet me and tell me to just concentrate on tweeting his numbers. Now, for some obscure reason, Retribution do huge numbers on YouTube. They legitimately do. So there you go. He's a draw in that world. So that's there you have it. So I mean, there's quite a lot for us to talk into today. And as you guys have seen by the title, a lot of that derives from Kevin Owens. I was lucky enough to chat to KO yesterday for the first time in my career, actually. A thrill for me because I'm such a big fan of the guy.
And I mean, anyone that I've spoken to, and I'm sure you're the same, only has nice things to say about Kevin Owens. Like, he just seems like the most lovely, genuine, down-to-earth guy. So I am incredibly jealous.
I think, and he even says this in the interview, that he's grown a lot in the past, 3 years. He was very kind of one-track mind early in his WWE career, but I think he's learned to enjoy it now and savor the people in the company and things. So, yeah, there's very interesting chat. You may have heard it on my show yesterday with TalkSport. If you didn't, fear not. It will be on YouTube, and I have written up articles about it as well. So you will get your Kevin Owens goodness, but we are going to discuss some of the things that he said there today. Nixed tag teams that WWE rejected, his feelings on Goldberg and losing the belt to him and wanting another reign. Original plans apparently to face at the time what would have been a 73-year-old Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon at WrestleMania with Sami Zayn. Yes, that was a plan at one point. Kevin, he spoke about so much during the call, and also, we'll get onto the Goldberg stuff. I hate talking about Goldberg, but I'm going to relay what Kevin Owens had to say because I agreed with it greatly. There's a lot of stuff to touch on there, and that's not all. To be fair, Louis, it's not just Kevin Owens only. We've got Lana and all the fallout from Raw. Elias telling Lillian Garcia that NXT wanted to can him. And of course, there's Chris Jericho and New Japan. So why don't we start and work our way backwards to the main event, Louis? Talk to us about Jericho and New Japan.
Yeah, so this obviously has a lot to do with Chris Jericho. Obviously, his stuff with New Japan and Harold Mage moving out of New Japan now. So potentially signaling a sort of renewal of the relationship between the two. So on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer said there would have been a chance you would have Jericho if the situation was different. I know when Harold Mage was there, because of the cost, he wasn't that hot on bringing Jericho back. Jericho, from what I believe, does not have a contract with New Japan anymore. I think that's expired. But with Harold gone, I know there was a renewed interest in Jericho. But it doesn't matter now because he couldn't go. That's something for down the line. So this is obviously in reference to Wrestle Kingdom. He can't go and work Wrestle Kingdom, I think, because he's already 2 weeks quarantine there. So, I mean, unless it doesn't appear on Dynamite for the next few weeks, which he's got a match scheduled, so he definitely will be. So he can't be at Wrestle Kingdom. But it's good to see that, like, the working relationship between New Japan and AEW might be sort of better than it's been in the last few months, with New Japan, when AEW talent being able to work New Japan dates and New Japan being interested in that, with obviously Harold Mage out. For those that don't know, he was the president of New Japan who's stepping down. And there was a lot of talk of him being quite, not anti-AEW, but not wanting that relationship really. And I mean, Tony Khan has gone on the record to say he'd quite like, I mean, at the beginning we saw, I mean, Moxley is United States champion. So we have seen AEW talent going over to New Japan, but we haven't really seen that the other way around. And Tony Khan, he said to us on the media call after Full Gear that he would like that relationship to be more sort of two-way, and it looks like we could potentially be getting that.
Yeah, reciprocal is the word you were looking
for.
for.
There we go. There we go. Mutual.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's been one-way traffic, but obviously COVID has put paid to any kind of traffic either way this year. But, you know, AEW have only been too happy to let their talent go ahead and do that. I think Miro even said on his way into AEW that he was open to a New Japan run, and so was AEW. So, I mean, look, I spoke to Jericho ahead of his Orange Cassidy pay-per-view match. God, what was that?
All Out. So
All Out.
Beginning of September and end of August.
And we were talking about New Japan, and I think he was pretty happy, like, with who he's faced, and he's had all the big ones really: Naito, Okada, Tanahashi, Ibushi. Like, he's
did Omega there as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think as far as Jericho's concerned, you know, I mean, of course, there's plenty of people you could still work with in Japan because it's just like a fountain of talent. But I think the main people that Jericho wanted, he's had. So whether he goes back or not, I think he's comfortable with it. But it's one of them times. Anyway, the time in the world is just not really conducive. You said it yourself with the quarantines and things. I think if the time was going to come, now seems a difficult time anyway.
Yeah, I think it's more just sort of the idea of how the regime is going to change and the attitudes with that now that Harold Mage is stepping down. So are we going to see more of a crossover? Are we going to see New Japan willing to let talent go over and work AW dates in the States?
Well, that'd be the only difference, though, wouldn't it? Like, the only difference really would be them coming over to States, because I mean, even when he was at the helm, there were still guys going over there.
Yeah, I mean, it was... But those were really before AEW launched, I think. Like, have we seen anyone join AEW and then go over?
Moxley has been over, right?
No, but I know. I think didn't he go? He was in New Japan before he was AEW, right?
Right, but what I'm saying is he's still doing it as a part of AEW.
Yeah. I mean, he's an AEW talent working New Japan dates, obviously. So it would be, and obviously the same would be for Chris Jericho. But I'm hoping that we see more of sort of a crossover. And if Kenny Omega's doing his whole belt collector shtick, then it would be nice if Kota Ibushi wins both the titles of Wrestle Kingdom early next year, for them to have a clash over all the belts. If Kenny picks up the Impact title and the AAA title and sort of like a massive belt off, I guess you'd call it, that'd be quite cool. So yeah, I'd be interested in seeing that, and I hope that is something that once obviously the pandemic starts to slow down, hopefully fingers crossed, and travel restrictions are lifted or relaxed, that it is something we can start to see more of with talent moving across more freely.
Well, you've just said it yourself. That is the perfect way the belt collector gimmick would go. That is the ultimate. If we can get that, amazing. Obviously, it's a steep hill to climb with a lot of hurdles. But to be fair, the Impact end of that is probably going to happen. I think Swan Omega is going to be set up in the next couple of weeks. So can the New Japan end of that deal, though, and like I said, the Ibushi story, can that all tie in? That is another question. Let's move on to Elias talking about how NXT wanted to fire him. Now, I read this transcript. I haven't listened to it, but I read the transcript with Lillian Garcia. It just sounds like and this is professional wrestling, I guess, what you've been conditioned to feel like it is, like from a WWE standpoint anyway. Just sounds like a terrible place to be, like treading on eggshells all the time, like, being told, right, well, do something, mate, or you're out the door. Like, I understand that's pretty much the way of the world in many jobs, but man, it feels like they put it all up against you to succeed there. And the story he gave Louis of what he had to do and the pitch that he had to do to save himself, that whole story is very funny.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing with Elias is, so I did an article earlier this year on people that, I mean, we always hear like, oh, NXT is like the highlight. Once you get to the main roster, you're ruined. So I did a list on people that were actually did better off on the main roster than they did in NXT. And Elias was pretty high up on that list. I think he was only second to Roman Reigns. So you can understand why, he wasn't a name like a Samoa Joe or a Shinsuke Nakamura or a Finn Balor or formerly Prince Devitt, who'd come in already with that name value. Like, I didn't really know who Elias was beforehand. He seems like one of those guys that was sort of always seemed more main roster suited than NXT suited. And I think he was struggling to find that gimmick in NXT. So he said, basically that he didn't have a gimmick and he was on the chopping block for NXT numerous times, like on list to be cut. And he kept being told to come up with new gimmicks. So he said, he said to Lillian Garcia, I put together a character I refer to as the Judge or the Drifter. Obviously, the Drifter was what he debuted, which is eventually what I became. I put together a vignette, merchandise, ways to debut, feuds, a whole packet. I presented it to them and they said, this is good. Let's meet and talk about it. They bring me into this roundtable room and everyone is there. Dusty Rhodes, Nick Dinsmore, who is Eugene. Everyone who worked there. He sits down, has my packet and goes, all right, we all looked at it and it's really good. Shoves it to the side and goes, what else you got? I'm like, what? He goes, what else you got? I spent the last 30 days making sure this was great. That's what I put my effort into. You said it was good. Yeah, it's good, but what else have you got? So he basically starts yelling in Italian at Dusty, Nick, and this unknown guy who obviously he's not saying to sort of protect him. And he started yelling at them Italian, turned the lights off. And when they came back on, Dusty said, holy crap. Not holy crap, he said something else, but won't repeat it. Nick Dinsmore said, I got goosebumps. And the guy who put him on the spot said, that's it. So Elias saved his job by shouting in Italian at random people. But no, it is...
Doesn't really make sense, does it?
Not really. Not random people. I mean, it does just show like the crazy world that is NXT and is WWE as a whole. Like, you just can't make some of it up. But I mean, it is. I think he's far more suited to the main roster. I think he'd be doing a lot better right now if there were crowds, because I mean, his like shtick just suits having a crowd there. And yeah, I'm actually a big fan of Elias. I think he's great. I think he does for what he does. It's very good. He's not going to be a 10 out of 10 in the ring, but he's a great promo, great guy to talk to. Like, I mean, he's been involved with the Undertaker and John Cena. They clearly have a lot of stock in him. I think Inside the Ropes reported that. I mean, WWE's high on him, but I mean, everyone's high on everyone. WWE's high on everyone nowadays.
They should be if they pay him.
Yeah. I mean, they should be. It's like a football team. It's like a football team not being impressed with some of their players. But I do think that it's nice to see him doing well on the main roster. Although something that went down last night, which I guess we should talk about now, might not put him in good stead, unfortunately.
Well, we will pivot to Elias from last night in a moment, but it is a good time to remind you guys to get your Ultra Chats in. You can see it at the bottom of the screen. Get your questions at WrestleTalk.com/Wrestle2. And then the lovely mods will give us your fantastic takes and we will bring them to life. We will bring them onto the show. We will discuss them. You will get your money's worth. So whatever your donations may be, they will be read out. We do appreciate them. They are my favorite part of the show, and your fantastic comments as well in the live chat. Please keep them coming, guys. That is the lifeblood of Wrestling Daily. Also, like, share, subscribe, all of that great stuff for Wrestle 2. Do that on Twitter, do that on YouTube. Make sure you are connected with the home of Wrestling Daily, and turn on those notifications as well. You don't want to miss when Louis Dangoor is in the house. You don't want to miss when Steph Chase and SB3 are giving their hot takes. I actually believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Louis, SB3's episode from Friday is maybe the biggest numbers we've done thus far. So it just shows you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously massively helped with the Keith Lee news breaking just before. And I think that is the advantage of like the Wrestling Daily as we do it, where we can be reactionary to the news that comes up. I mean, we've discussed stuff that's broke while we're on air before. We've had people in the comments bringing stuff up, and then we've brought it to our attention. So this is why we love doing the show. It's interactive. We can react to stuff that you guys want to talk about, the news that's just breaking. So yeah, we appreciate your support more than you guys know. And it's been, how long have we been going for now? 3 months?
No, not yet. Not yet.
2 months.
It's about 2 months. It is 2 months.
So yeah, we do massively appreciate all of the help you guys have given us, and we're going to have a bumper. I was about to say 5 episodes next week, but I don't think we are with Christmas.
No, we're not. We're having 3. We're having 2 episodes, and that's that. No, 3. We're having 3 because TLC on Monday.
Yeah, we will on our Twitter and on the shows towards the end of this week. We'll talk about our schedule for Christmas, because obviously we're not going to be doing shows on Christmas Day, which I don't think anyone will be watching us and understand. And we got Happy Hanukkah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Although I am wearing a Christmas jumper, Christmas t-shirt.
That's okay. We can all appreciate each other's cultures. That's fine.
I didn't even know when Hanukkah was, to be honest.
Yeah, so it just goes to show you with those kind of numbers and interest that the Wrestling Daily is growing nicely, and it's all thanks to you guys. So please do continue to shower us in your glorious love that we appreciate so much. So I guess let's go back to a lot. Yeah, Alex knows. Low key, the A show. Let me just say that what we're about to talk about next, I'm going to approach with no bias, but I don't like Jaxson Ryker very much. Louis, talk to the people about what he's doing on Raw now.
Smart of you to hand this one off to me, so you don't have to deal with it.
This is your job in essence, though.
Yeah, it is, but you just give me the dodgy ones. So obviously everyone knows about Jaxson Ryker. During the Black Lives Matter movement, some comments emerged from him that were sort of pro-Trump, anti-Black Lives Matter movement, which rubbed people the wrong way, fans-wise, critics-wise, journalists-wise. People in WWE, like his fellow colleagues, weren't happy. Publicly sort of took issue with him on Twitter, which very rarely happens. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. He has returned after not being on TV since that happened. And he is now Elias's second, sort of his muscle. He's seen the light, and I don't think that was a good way to phrase it, especially having him beat up guys. It glorified him. I wasn't a fan of it. I think this is going to be unfortunate for Elias, because people are going to, like, when I'm watching an Elias segment, I'm not going to be able to enjoy it because I'm just going to be thinking about Jaxson Ryker, unfortunately. And I mean, I haven't seen anyone be positive about this online. And I know normally with stuff like this, you have a couple of people positive, a couple of people negative. This has been pretty much 100% negative. And you know what? I can understand why. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like this is going to be changing. It was we reported last week, not we reported, but we said on the show last week, a report from Fightful, that this was they did it on Main Event as a sort of a test run to see how the water sort of see how the reaction was. The reaction wasn't good, and they still went ahead with it. But what can you do? What can you do? He's one of several people on TV at the moment with, unfortunately, a bit of a checkered past, and some questionable things have emerged this year about him and many others on the main roster, unfortunately, that are still on TV. I just hope that Elias isn't sucked in with this.
Not a good idea, not a good segment either, in my opinion.
I mean, Raw as a whole wasn't great last night.
We'll get there. We'll get there, brother. I don't have too much to say on it. Other than I think it's ill-advised and not timely. There's all kinds of things wrong with having Jaxson Ryker in some kind of powerful, prominent position. Other than that, the crux of it, if you take all of that out of the equation, how does it enhance Elias? Like, it doesn't. He's weighed down by it, if anything else. The man has talent to stand on his own. That's what you should do.
He's always going to feel second to the AJ Styles and Omos tandem, because it's basically the same thing. Like a big bodyguard and like a mouthy guy that's going to hide behind the bodyguard. That's basically it. So I think to have both of them on the same show is stupid. Just dilutes it. Like, I mean, if one was on SmackDown, one was on Raw, okay. But like,
I don't necessarily think that it's like you can't have, you know what I mean? That'd be like an AEW going, oh, you can't have, you know, Tully and you can't have Jake on the same show. Do you know what I mean? Like, it depends.
Yeah.
You have to judge every case on their merits. I get what you're saying, but I mean, I agree in essence, just because I don't want Jaxson Ryker as the bodyguard. Like the bodyguard, I don't really get that either. He's like, there's a big difference between Omos, who is literally 7'3" and gigantic, and then buying him. You buy him immediately just because of the size, but Jaxson Ryker is just a bit like.
And also the size difference. Like, Elias is a pretty big bloke.
He's a very big bloke.
I wouldn't be like, if Elias was in a fight, I wouldn't be like, you're probably going to get your ass kicked. Like with AJ, I would. So you kind of buy into that almost relationship that he needs him. But I don't really think that Elias needs Jaxson Ryker in terms of on the mic, definitely not. In promos, definitely not. In segments, not. In the ring, not. I just don't see how this benefits anyone, really.
Yeah. Apart
from Jaxson Ryker.
I interviewed Elias at the Performance Center in 2018, I think. Late 2018. And yeah, in the flesh, that guy's arms are huge, by the way. He is big. And he's a really nice guy.
I've had that with like I met Cameron Grimes and he was big. Like he doesn't look big, but they're just all huge. I was surprised. Walter I've met is the most ridiculous human being I've ever met. Keith Lee, huge.
I don't know if I've met Keith Lee in the flesh. I've met Big Show, who obviously is just ridiculously big. His hand literally swallows your hand. And Braun Strowman, I've met him a couple of times. He's legitimately insane how big he is as well. They all take you by surprise, right? Even Triple H, you forget because it was like the norm in the main event back in the 2000s that you were 6'4" plus probably. Like Rock was 6'5", Triple H 6'4". I think even Austin's like 6'2". You take that for granted, right? Because most of them are, whatever. We're kind of getting off track there.
I know you and I being 6'6", we swamp anyone that we interview.
I honestly, for years, thought I was 6 foot. I legitimately said to everyone whenever I got asked I was 6 foot, and I then had some surgery. I can't remember what it was. Maybe for my shoulder. I've got a pin in my shoulder. And then you do the pre-stuff medical, and they were like, 5'11". I was like, what? do you want to try? No? And they're like, yeah. It was
spike your hair up.
It was really, really heartbreaking to discover I didn't make the Magic 6. Very upsetting. Well, I'm 5'11". What are you? You're like 5'8", in you? Something like that?
5'7".
5'7". Like a pocket rocket, Louis. That's what you are.
I've still got a few more years of growth, I think.
Yeah, actually. I mean, you should. I assume.
If not, stilts. That's
start calling you like Louis Mysterio. There you go.
Exactly.
Well, I haven't said that. Dominic Mysterio is massive compared to his family for some reason.
Because he's not raised, that's why.
Well, that's it. Mind you, Eddie wasn't exactly 6'2" either, but there you have it. Anyway, let's kick off with the Ultra Chat that we've got in the chamber. Remember, guys, please do get them in. No problems with PayPal this week. None at all. Please get them into us and let's get talking. And this moves us on nicely to what happened with Lana last night. So Matthew McCoskey says, good egg, by the way, perfect scenario for the women's tag titles match. Charlotte is the partner. They lose. sets up Asuka versus Charlotte. Charlotte wins, likely at the Rumble. Charlotte versus Ronda at Mania 37. Ronda wins. Ronda versus Becky at Mania 38. Or just Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley. I mean, yeah, I was along for the ride there, and then you went, oh no, or just Charlotte and Rhea. I think Louis and I have said before, Charlotte and Rhea is where we would like to see this story revisited, if only for the benefit of Rhea Ripley getting the win back that she deserves. Before that, Lou, run us through what happened last night with Lana and where we're at.
So yeah, Lana was written off TV last night after an attack by Jax and Baszler, and she won't be at the pay-per-view TLC this weekend with Asuka for their tag title match. Michael Cole said during the show that Asuka's got to find another tag team partner. Some have speculated Kairi Sane could be coming back for a bit of a reunion there, which could be really cool. Some have speculated...
God, I'd love that, by the way. I would love that.
Yeah, I saw someone say Becky Lynch.
Fuck it. I mean, unless he's Wonder Woman.
Vince has probably offered it.
Yeah, he's probably been on the blower. I don't doubt that. I had someone else say Naomi as well. Like, there are some possibilities.
I've seen some people say Lana is just going to come down by the end of the night. It's going to be a 2-on-1 handicap. Lana comes down, puts Jax through a table, they win, which could happen.
If they were going to actually give the narrative some credibility, then that's actually not a bad thing to do, because
it's not awful. But it's not what they're doing.
I mean, it's not going to happen, but it would be the underdog payoff that you hope for. Is it going to be Tessa Blanchard debuting? I don't think it is, but is it going to be? There's a lot of different things that WWE could do. It could be a call up from NXT. A lot of different stuff.
I don't know what it's going to be. I think Charlotte.
I do know what it's going to be. Although, things, I say that with all the confidence that I do, and we all know that things could change, but I was told ahead of time what would happen to Lana last night was going to happen, which makes me believe what I was told is going to happen Sunday is going to happen. And if it does, I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone, because I don't believe in that kind of journalism. I think that's not journalism at all, really, is it? Just spoiling things for people. But I'm excited to see it. That much I will say. And I do think it will have good ramifications coming into the next, Rumble season, Mania season. I do think it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
I mean, in terms of the, regardless of if Charlotte, I know Matthew McCarthy said Charlotte would be the person winning, sort of helping Asuka. I don't know whether that is the case or not. I think probably just by the fact that it's. I know you reported around the summertime that she'd be around for the Rumble. So if she's not back on Sunday, I reckon she'll be back on Monday. And I don't think she's going to be in the Rumble. I think she's going to be challenging Asuka for the Raw Women's title. So the Rumble. So I think that it would work to have them as a tag team. We know they love doing that. The tag team partners go into the WrestleMania season feuding. I think Charlotte would make the most sense. But yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out, obviously, and we'll be giving our predictions on the Friday show. So we'll if anything else breaks or if any news emerges about it, we'll obviously bring it to you guys.
Yeah, time-wise, Louis is right. It would make sense to be Charlotte. In my original report, I did say end of 2020 or Royal Rumble season. I did also...
Hang on, didn't you say SummerSlam and it was actually someone else that said
it? Don't you drag my name through the mud. That would be Dave Meltzer and Mike Johnson who said SummerSlam. I said...
I remember 0. And it was those two, right? And I messaged Alex and I was like, are you sure? Are you sure? And he's like, look, trust me.
Do you know what the worst? Do you know what the worst thing of that report was? Is that I'd quoted what the source said, and it was 0 chance. And then I remember it being the week of SummerSlam, and I said to Louis, like, shit, what if she comes back? Like, what if she does?
I don't know, you're the biggest Charlotte fan. You're probably sitting there thinking, like, don't come back, don't come back, don't come back.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Like, I knew her surgery was like July 27th, something like that. I knew the actual date of surgery. So I knew, and obviously you meant to like 6 weeks after, all that stuff. So I knew, like, physically, like, not only had the person told me that, but also it lined up with logic. And I thought, surely this is a report that I'm not going to, you know, trip up on. So luckily I didn't. So we'll see how that plays out. It'd be, you know, I'm whether it is Charlotte or not, I'm very excited to see her come back.
And I mean, in terms of Matthew's thing, when he said they lose, I don't think if Charlotte returns in this match, she loses her first match. I think if it is Charlotte,
unless like he said, it is setting them up for the feud, like they cost each other.
Yeah. I mean, yes. I mean, I don't. So I think Jackson Baszler are winning the match, unless it is Charlotte. When I think Charlotte's going to win, unless it is Charlotte, and then I think it will be Charlotte probably picking up the win.
You know what? As well, be the Grand Slam for Charlotte if she won it. WWE love giving Charlotte those accolades.
I mean, she would have done everything right, apart from Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of title, I think she would have done everything, like, because no one can even equal her now in terms of having the Divas title as well. So, I think Mickey James.
James.
Was she only ever the women's champion? Yeah, Natalia could. But anyway, she'd be the only one who has all of that stuff. But again, we don't even know if that is her yet. I will say that the picture of her in the gym the other day was ridiculous. You see, they've got biceps for days on Charlotte Flair. But as we said earlier, there are a lot of options, man. Like, Naomi's been on the shelf for a little bit. People have been talking about plans for her moving forward. Even like, I doubt it, but Mickey James has been out injured since that kind of botch finish with Oscar, which storyline wise,
would make sense.
Could kind of make sense. So
Melina, I know, like PW Insider said, Melina and even Maria both re-signed with WWE.
Don't tell Melina that, mate. She gets hot about that report.
No. But I mean, we have seen that before. In fairness, we've seen Edge isn't coming back. We have seen Brian Cage isn't signing with AEW. We have seen it all before.
Yes, we have. Right. Yeah, actually, someone just said, I know Elizabeth's joking here. Peter's Nikki Bella. But the Bellas are also primed to
I don't know about them. Like, it would be weird seeing Nikki in another tag team.
I don't know. I don't think they're going to be here Sunday. I mean, they may factor into the picture of who wins, so that might be something to consider. Like WrestleMania season, I wouldn't be surprised if they positioned the Bellas as the challenger for the tag titles. So you have to think of who they would want opposite the Bellas. Like there are things to consider. Although I don't know if I'm literally just speculating. Don't take that as gospel or a report in any way. But anyway, guys, thank you for that, Matthew, and any more Ultra Chats or great comments you guys have got for us in the live chat, please keep them coming. Until then, let's talk a little bit about Raw. And I don't think this is going to take too long, Louis. I woke up at about 5:30 this morning against my will, my children wanting milk and rubbish. And I'd thought, I'll read what's happened on Raw. I always do that first. I'm just going to check out in case, if anything ridiculous has happened.
Yeah.
And as I was skipping through it, I was like, this seems extremely missable. I thought, the Fiend popping out of fire. I was like, I mean, on paper, that seems okay. I haven't actually seen that in reality yet. And the Lana thing getting injured, I was like, oh, okay. Other than that, not a lot going on, Lou.
I'm just going to take a note of the time because I've got a swear coming, just to let Pete know. Raw was shit. Like, objectively shit. It was one of the worst go-home shows I've seen in a long time. I mean, what are they doing with Keith Lee? What are they doing with the AJ and Sheamus match was brilliant. I really like that. I think Sheamus is doing some of the best work of his career. Unfortunately, I don't really care for these shame. Like, the in-ring stuff is going to be great with Drew and AJ. Like, it's going to be fantastic. But they haven't done a good job with the feud, building that up and what the story they've been telling. Unfortunately, not a lot of Raw was great. I mean, the Lana stuff wasn't good. Matt Riddle, at least he picked up a win, and it looks like they're giving him, like, he's excelling in these backstage segments. I know they're getting mixed reactions, but I'm liking it. I mean, all I know from Keith Lee, obviously, is he was so much more improved this week with that one class at the Performance Center that he went to. It was noticeably, he was so much better. Obviously, in jest, it was... the booking made no sense, like nonsensical. It was nonsensical. A lot of the show just made it just made no sense. For a TLC show with a couple of good matches, I don't understand how you can get it so wrong. Even it was so wrong. Normally, it's like one or two bits that are like, yeah, that didn't work. But none of it worked. Like apart from the AJ Sheamus match, nothing worked.
Sorry,
it was just bad.
I'm just letting you
bad.
Go.
Honestly, it angered me. I don't know whether that was because I was up at about 5:30, unable to sleep, so I watched it being very tired and very grumpy. So I was like, hate that, piss off, hate that. Could have been that, but I just wasn't a fan of it in the slightest. It wasn't a good show.
Didn't you like the 6-man New Day?
It was very formulaic. And like, listen, I don't want to see them wrestle every single week. Like, some variation of them wrestle every single week. Like, can you not make things feel special? Like, imagine it. And I'm not putting them on the same level, right? But Young Bucks and FTR. Imagine if the week before we had, like, I don't know, someone in the Young Bucks versus someone in FTR. Like, it just devalues it. Especially if the week before you have Cash versus Nick, and the week before that you have Dax versus Matt. Like, just too much of the same stuff. Just space it out a little bit. Like, even if it's a couple of weeks distance, just it just doesn't work for me. Especially because SmackDown is so good, like so good. It had a so week last week, but.
Still stronger than Raw.
So much stronger, and I don't understand how you can get it so wrong.
I agree, a hard agree, in fact, with you on the whole. Just be more creative with the feuds. Like I really, the whole idea of a pay-per-view match is that you would pay to see it. But 9 times out of 10, you've seen a variation of it on TV anyway, and it's just like rematches or continuations of a feud, and it's just not special. I do take the point. You know, the tag teams, they've painted themselves into a corner because who else do they work with? There are like no other teams to work with.
If you had like they've got a few teams to work with, you'd space it out a bit, wouldn't you? You wouldn't give us the same match like 15 times in the space of 3 weeks.
But this is what I'm saying. How do they... I mean, all right, there's different stories you can do.
You don't need a match.
No, that's what I'm saying. You can do segments, vignettes, whatever. But the point is that the tag division is so shallow that they can't even build... So this is another thing, right? And I've said this on Twitter before. WWE's favorite thing in the world is to have champions lose to people to set up a defense against that person, which 9 times out of 10, the champions actually overcome as well. So it's so pointless and futile. And you know that they're just getting a victory to look strong enough to get a shot to eventually lose that shot. That is one of my most frustrating things with WWE. And that's what they're doing now with the tag division. And again, like I said, they've put themselves in that position because they literally are. I can't tell you who else there is on Raw for them to feud with. I mean, Retribution don't have an interest in titles apparently at the moment. Whatever. It's like I just like Moxley lost his first match. Actually, that's a bad example because Drew hasn't really lost. No. But I mean, like it's FTR didn't lose to the Young Bucks to set up the Young Bucks match. Like Cody didn't lose to Darby Allin to set up their TNT title. Well, you was about to use a Moxley example. That is a good example because Omega.
But I mean, in terms of the top title.
Hang on.
Yeah, he had to win a tournament.
Omega had to win his way to Moxley, right? That makes it seem important, those matches. They have stakes. They have, Moxley is a prized person you have to work to. You don't just get to face the champion, and then, oh, well, hang on, I've beat the champion, so therefore I've jumped up to the front of the queue. That is WWE's most lazy booking decision. They do it so often. It's painful. I don't want to sit here and just crap all over any product, let alone WWE. But I'm hard pressed for a go home show as well. What did it really do? What did it really do?
And I mean, our job in what we do is to be honest with our reporting, our coverage of stuff. And if a show isn't good, we'll say a show isn't good. And I mean, people that know me on Twitter will know, if I like something, I will talk about why I like it. And a lot of SmackDown I have liked. But unfortunately, Raw the past few weeks has really dragged. And it is that 2 hours. I mean, Raw this week dragged less for me because I watched it on 1.5 times speed. And it was still too long.
The most annoying thing with Raw, above all else, is that they have a boatload of talent. It's criminal that they can't do what they can do with the talent that are on Raw.
So WrestleVotes tweeted 3 minutes ago. Recently, a group of writers were asked to make a list of underutilized talents that they felt could shine if given the opportunity. Those lists range wide, but nearly all of them contain Cesaro, Angel Garza, Chad Gable, Carmella, and Peyton Royce. They'd all be on my list for sure. And I mean, Angel Garza on this list on Raw, nothing in weeks. Peyton Royce on Raw, nothing in weeks.
Garza's had nothing in terms of matches. They are doing the vignettes though with the Rose and stuff, which seems to be going somewhere.
This week?
No, I don't know if they did this week, but I'm saying he's had the story going the past few weeks.
No, they dropped it. I don't think he's had it for the last 3 weeks. I might be wrong.
You are wrong. He had it 2 weeks ago for sure. I remember seeing it.
I know he didn't have it last week, and I don't think he had it this week.
No, I haven't seen this week, so I couldn't for sure say. But he definitely had it 2 weeks ago, and then even redid the Rose, and that was the whole thing, right? Where they he definitely has done it recently. But no, you know me. I'm a big Angel Garza fan, and do I think Carmella's there? I mean, she wasn't used before this gimmick now. Sure.
She had a great match. I liked her stuff with Sasha Banks. I mean, Cesaro, probably the most underutilized guy on the roster for me.
Ever.
Top 5. He's up there. For me, top 5 wrestlers in the world right now. Chad Gable, legit Olympian. Peyton Royce, I reported a couple of months ago that no one has a bad word to say about her. Everyone was very keen on her, thought she'd improved a lot with obviously her husband Sean Spears and Tyler Breeze opening their training school. She was said to be going down there a lot, and that a lot of people attributed that to helping her succeed. And I mean, all of these people on that list, I would like to see pushed better. I mean, I can think of 15 other names on this list.
Aleister Black should be on that list.
I was about to say Aleister Black. I mean, I'll tell you what, let's go through the comments and see if anyone has suggested anything that stands out. Aleister Black, Dolph Ziggler. I mean, we're not in 2012.
Ziggler gets enough for my liking. He's not that, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. Like, I like him, but I mean, he's on TV regularly.
Ricochet.
Oh my God. I was looking at Ricochet. I was looking at Ricochet the other day. He is just his year has just been split into thirds. Like the first third was pretty promising, right? He ended up getting the title, Lesnar, Saudi Arabia, all going well here. And then the second third, he spent getting decked around by the Hurt Business for 3 months. The last third, he spent getting dicked around by Retribution. So what a year that guy's had.
I mean, at least I don't know how you get it so wrong. So wrong. It's right there. Open goal. He is a man that can flip himself inside out. And you know when Sin Cara used to do that trampoline thing? Yeah. And it was all right, that's cool, but it's gimmicked. I think Ricochet could probably do that.
Probably.
On his own. Like this guy is when he did that jump from the into the ring to the outside and just incredible. He is so good. And I know WWE loved gifting things and putting tweets out. Like imagine you could gif Ricochet weekly and go viral with the stuff he can do.
But they did, and then in NXT they did.
I mean, but NXT is a different beast. They can
recognize. But what I'm saying is, they had the right idea. How could WWE not look at that and go, "Oh, they've just gone out"? Well,
who knows, man? Who knows? But I just thought, this is why we love the Wrestling Daily. The report came out 3 minutes ago, and we've already spent 5 minutes dissecting it. Name me another show where that can happen.
I mean, the one thing I will say is there's a couple of guys like Cedric Alexander and Shelton who I would have probably put on that list prior to the Hurt Business. So I'm glad to see them getting some love and hope.
Lastly, a year ago, I probably would have put on that list. But I mean, he is probably one of the most well-protected guys, top 5 protected guys in WWE right now, along with Roman, Drew. I'm trying to think.
If you turn WWE on for the first time, right? Let's just say you tuned in and you watched Raw and SmackDown one week.
If I tuned into Raw, I wouldn't tune in again.
Well, let's just say you did, and you watched the whole programming. Bobby Lashley would be one of the people you looked at and you were like, "Wow, look at the size of that guy! He looks great. He looks like an absolute killer."
And he's presented as such.
Exactly, and he's got MVP with him. If you were just looking at it like that, you'd think, yes, that should be one of your top guys. Anyway, let's move along because we haven't done Kevin Owens yet, which I was on yesterday, and I will break that down for us shortly before we finish on some Ultra Chats. So, first of all, Kevin Owens was talking about a lot of different stuff ahead of his Universal Showdown with Roman Reigns this Sunday at TLC. I asked Kevin Owens about his feelings about wanting to be Universal Champion again. And it was very interesting what he had to say. I'm going to release that article tomorrow. I said to him, did he feel like he wanted to have another reign to kind of right the wrongs, maybe? Maybe did he want to rewrite the ending to his title reign? Because we all know not many people liked the fact that Goldberg was the man to take the belt off him. But Kevin Owens said, I don't really care how it ended. It ended the way it ended, and they all have to end at some point. At least it ended for a reason. There's a reason for it ending beyond, hey, Owens wasn't doing a good job, because that wasn't the case. Whether it should have ended that way or not is another discussion altogether. And then he goes on to say that he's never been a fan of Goldberg's work. He would work with him again, he says, if they could do a story or whatnot and play out, but he doesn't see the benefit in it because, and to quote him, Goldberg has never really been about wrestling matches, which in fairness, he hasn't. So unless you're prepared to get in there and squash him with your finish or take a lot of his finishes, it's not going to work for you, is it? So I, though, Louis, would like to see Kevin Owens top of the heap again. And KO does say, I don't want to do it at Roman Reigns' expense, by the way, but Kevin Owens does say that when he was champion 3.5 years ago now, which doesn't feel that long ago, but it's crazy that it is.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It feels like 6 years ago, but also a year ago.
Yeah. 3.5 years ago, he was champion. And before he was dethroned, he said he didn't enjoy it. He was so obsessed with trying to make it good and trying to, be in the spot. You know what I'm saying? He was so obsessed with trying to be what he thought everyone wanted him to be that even Vince McMahon himself, Triple H, Shawn Michaels have all said to him since, you just didn't enjoy it. You weren't being the way you were. Hang on, you weren't being the way a champion should be. So what he wants to do more than anything else is to be champion again, so he can do it the right way.
But I mean, that is crazy to me to think, because his segments were some of his Jericho segments with stuff with Jericho was some of the funniest stuff I've seen on TV in years.
Excellent, yeah.
I mean, has there been a better segment than the Festival of Friendship since Festival of Friendship on TV? I don't think so. Maybe some of the recent stuff with Roman would be up there.
That's
but other than that,
comes to mind, yeah.
Other than that, I don't know. It was perfect. So it is crazy to think, obviously, that you don't know. He seemed like he was having a whale of a time with Jericho on TV, coming up with this stuff, and he wasn't enjoying it behind the scenes. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to see Kevin Owens back in a world title picture. Not at the extent of like, if you said to me, "Oh, he wins on Sunday," I'd say no. I wouldn't like that. I think that Roman still needs to win. But I mean, like you prolong the story out, and him beating Roman at SummerSlam could be on the cards. I'd quite like a Drew and Kevin Owens feud. I think that could be cool. Yeah, I think there's a lot of options there. Kevin Owens is just fantastic. So
he truly is. He truly is. And he also told me, I said to him, "Isn't it criminal that him and Sami Zayn have never had a tag title reign? Less than that, they've never had a tag title shot in WWE." And obviously, I wanted to bring this up to Kevin because he had the whole sit-down segment with Daniel Bryan, and he was talking about them maybe being a team, and he's made it quite clear that he would like it if he could have a shot at a tag team titles. It's something he hasn't done in WWE. And then he started telling me all about the pitches that he's made in WWE, all of which WWE have rejected. He's pitched for a tag team with AJ Styles. He's pitched for a tag team with Ali. He's pitched for a tag team. I don't know if this is Retribution, by the way. I'm assuming prior to that. He's pitched for a tag. Yeah, I do too. He's pitched for a tag team with Apollo Crews. And then, of course, you've got Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn along that too. Like, he says that him and Sami have talked about it. They do want to do it. Just WWE don't want to. I can't get my head around that, Lou.
It's an open goal, so why would they want to do it? It makes sense. Why would they want to do it?
It makes too much sense. Too much.
Honestly, imagine like Kevin Owens, like they have backstage segments. Kevin Owens, all right, like what's going on with you, man? Like you're ducking your way out of wins. Like do it for like you're one of the best wrestlers in the world. Do it. Kevin slowly starts turning him round to the idea of like, listen, you're one of the best wrestlers in the world. We start seeing Sami Zayn like slow babyface turn. We see a tag title run, and then we see a singles match between them at WrestleMania. I mean, it is so open goal that why wouldn't they do it? Because this doesn't make sense.
I know right now that Sami Zayn is the IC champ. Like, so it's cool that they're doing something with him. But in the past, like, couple of years that we're talking about this, and they have been on the same brands, particularly when they embarked on their heel run post Hell in a Cell with Shane McMahon. Why wouldn't you make them the champs? Like, you look at the tag divisions and stuff. Like, they weren't doing anything else really. Like, neither of them been plugged into world title programs or anything. Like, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you have had it? Oh, sorry.
It's not like both are. Like, as you say, like Kevin Owens has been like since he lost the Universal title in and around that world title picture where you're like, all right, we don't want to take him away from that and drop him down. But like, I mean, they've not been doing anything of note. There's like a valid reason. I mean, Sami Zayn was out for a while with injuries. That could have been the plan. They've been on different brands for a while. I want to see like a babyface Kevin and a heel Sami feud. Like, I mean, that would be interesting. But I mean, in terms of the reject, like I know you tweeted the reject, like who he rejected. Apollo Crews, I don't really see like working. Like I just don't see it working. I think Apollo could have used it. Like he could have done with that like great talker there, sort of doing the stuff. Probably could have like brought him out of his shell. Ali would have been great. I mean, I know they had that match at Fastlane with Daniel Bryan, the triple threat. That could have spun out of that. Daniel Bryan, I mean, tag team with them would be. I mean, imagine Cesaro and Shinsuke versus like Bryan and Owens. Like, I mean, writes itself. AJ Styles, that'd be cool. Like, but I mean, for two people that are so talented, they had no in-ring chemistry when wrestling each other. So I mean, and listen, like two of the best wrestlers in the world, they just couldn't. They couldn't do it together. I don't know what it was. Maybe like now the heel and babyface dynamics are switched, it could work. But no, I hope by the time when all is said and done that we do get a tag team title run, whether it is heel or babyface with Sami and Kevin.
Yeah, me too. I think it'd be criminal if they didn't do it. Those two as rivals are always there, and that's probably going to be a lazy booking plan at some point for them to go back to. But I would like to see them team up. And just for the record, like Ali or Apollo Crews could have worked, in my opinion, with Kevin Owens just by the virtue of what you said. Like Kevin Owens is the kind of guy that could bring the best out of guys like that. It could have even been a heel turn for any of them, and you go that way, and Kevin Owens prizes out of them with that. So there you go. Kunal 3641 says, does WWE know what an open goal is? No, they don't. But that does bring me to a point. On Sunday, I was playing football, Lou. I scored a brace, right? A lovely free kick I scored, by the way. Bottom division of football. Don't worry about the standard. And I had a penalty.
Are you playing with your daughter and her friends?
I mean, I wish. Well, I don't. That sounds terrible. I had a penalty for the hat trick, and I missed.
So a save, a miss.
No, a miss. The penalty spot was like super boggy, so I was like,
I could have bet money. I could have bet money on you. I bet you looked down straight away. Look, what's going on?
I looked at the ground. I looked at the ground and I was like, oh man, I'm just gonna have to I don't know, side foot it, because it was one of them where the ground is so boggy that you're losing your footing almost, not slipping, but you feel really sludgy as you're coming up to it, and you're not going to get a great standing foot connection. And I literally was like, well, I'm just going to side foot this bottom bins. Keeper won't make it. Just going to side foot bottom bins. Yeah, high and wide. High and wide. So as I've hit it, I thought, how has that even done that? So yeah. Anyway, moral of the story here: Alex McCarthy, bad player.
I'll tell you my football story. So 2 weeks ago at Power League, right? Ball comes into me. You remember Bergkamp against Newcastle?
No, I'll stop this story already. I'm not having it. I refute what you're about to say.
It comes to me. I get it. Flick it up. Goes onto my teammate's chest, chests it and volleys it. Oh, honestly, what a goal. What an assist. Just 10 out of 10. Tony Khan, if he followed me on Twitter, would have been liking that.
I'm upset he didn't like my penalty miss tweet, to be honest.
He's too busy changing wrestling.
No, I think if I'd bagged the pen, he would have gone, I like that. But because I missed, he was like,
it's Fulham did all right against my Liverpool over the weekend, but the less said about that, the better. Go on, let's go on talking about Vince McMahon and his scrapped WrestleMania plans.
Yes, we will, before we're going to finish on a couple of Ultra Chats too. But Kevin Owens did also open up to Kenny McIntosh of Inside the Ropes, and he was talking about the time he was lucky enough, yes, he was lucky enough, to headbutt the WWE chairman, Vince McMahon. Legendary segment, of course, on SmackDown a few years ago now. And, KO went on to have a feud with Shane, Hell in a Cell, Heel Run, Sami Zayn Alliance, all of that good stuff, which eventually culminated in the return of Daniel Bryan, right? He came back at WrestleMania 34. He would be Shane McMahon's partner. Shane McMahon, fresh off a helicopter crash, by the way. So the ups and downs for this match, because Jericho was going to come in and save the day at one point as well, and that didn't happen. Shane decided he was going to do it. It was all over the place, but apparently the original plan was Vince McMahon, 73-year-old Vince McMahon, and Shane McMahon tagging against KO and Sami Zayn. Now, say what you will about that on paper. I think that's awesome. I'm just saying, from a paper perspective, it wouldn't be a great match like we got, and I'm very happy we got the Daniel Bryan return. I truly am. I'm glad that everything kind of the sea parted for Daniel Bryan. But that would have been an all-time amazing moment for KO and Sami. The match would have been booked with the most ridiculousness that somehow it would have been insane. It would have been just like a spectacle. Everyone would have been like, this is, horrible to have for a 73-year-old man. But at the same time, imagine for KO and Sami to be able to say they had that match. It's crazy to think that Vince was, it's crazy, but it's believable that Vince was considering that.
Yeah, Matthew said here, so if Vince and Shane teamed up, who would have Bryan faced? I reckon this was, he didn't specify, but I reckon this was probably the plan before Bryan was cleared.
Yes.
So, and I think when Bryan was cleared, they wanted to put him in a tag match where he was massively protective. I think if you look at it,
you'd have to read the quotes from Inside the Ropes, but I believe, without having the quotes in front of me, that he intimates as much, that Daniel Bryan's return changed the plans. Yeah.
He didn't say it explicitly, but it's heavily implied. He kind of suggested it, so I wouldn't be surprised. And I reckon the match would have gone pretty much down exactly the way it did, where Daniel Bryan was taken out very early on, if you remember. He didn't do a lot at all, obviously. considering what had happened to him with it just coming out of retirement. You can see why. And I reckon it probably would have been the same sort of thing. Like Vince is taken out, Shane does the majority of it, sort of bumping himself to death. But yeah, I think that it would have been cool to see. I'll tell you that. It would have been really cool to see. And I mean, listen, getting to wrestle Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania is one thing, but I mean, getting to wrestle Vince is just like you might not have a technical masterclass, but for Vince to see enough in you to want to book himself against you at WrestleMania is quite cool. So yeah, I mean, Uptown Avondale has said, who even remembers who was on SmackDown at that point? That was a very good time for SmackDown. Like, I liked it. I mean, post-draft 2016 is like elite SmackDown. 2016, 2017 is elite. With Jinder Mahal's reign, it sort of devalued it. But I mean, you had AJ, Shinsuke. You had a lot of great names on that brand. Cena was on the brand at the time. You had Miz doing great stuff. You had Ambrose was injured. You had some good names on the brand. I mean, it was good. But yeah, I would have been interested in seeing that tag match.
I loved 2016 SmackDown. This is obviously 2017 Hell in a Cell, so towards the end of that year. At that event, I've just looked it up. Jinder Mahal.
Hang on. Which event? I'll tell you.
I've just told you. I looked up Hell in a Cell.
Oh, Hell in a Cell, yeah. He beat Shinsuke clean.
Yes, he did. And then Charlotte Flair was also there. We've got the Usos and New Day Hell in a Cell match, man.
One of my favourite matches of recent memory.
Gable was tagging with Shelton at the time, which was cool. I mean, the Hype Bros, not so much. Randy Orton and Rusev. I mean, Ty Dillinger. Like there was a lot of talent there. It's a shame though that when it trickles downwards from Jinder Mahal, that people kind of go, or you forget. I think Bobby Roode and Ziggler in a singles match as well. Very forgettable singles match at Hell in a Cell. Yeah.
Was that
anyway,
for a title?
It wasn't for a title. No, the Ziggler Roode match. Apparently not.
Oh no, you're right.
I know. Only because I'm reading it though, not because it's offhand. Let me get to these last couple of Ultra Chats. Matty the Hot Scot says,
I've just got to bring this up from Uptown Avondale. I forgot I was talking to the two biggest wrestling nerds on the planet.
I mean, Tempest is not here, but okay. I'll take it. I mean, let it be known that I actually had Wikipedia in front of me then. I didn't just have that to hand. So come on now, Avondale, you bullish character. Listen, Matty the Hot Scot says, hey, Alex. Hey, Louis. Hope you feel better soon. Hope you had a good weekend. I seen, good grammar, Raw on YouTube, and it really didn't look good. I think for me, Ricochet is the most underused. He is so good. I feel so sorry for Keith Lee too. Impression next week. For Christmas, oh dear, we've already had the Fire Vince. We've had the Greg Hamilton. Matty's going to come at us again, Lou.
War Games.
Yeah, we were just doing that, weren't we? No? Did he ask us?
Was it not him? I don't know. I can't remember. I think it was maybe just me and you were doing that because
I think we were just doing it.
We're lunatics. But yeah, I feel bad for Ricochet. I feel bad for Keith Lee. Both already underutilized. I mean, Keith Lee, it's so crazy how within a couple of days, we have reports of him being penciled in for a WrestleMania match with Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar. Reports of him being sent back to the PC to train, and then seeing him lose to Miz and Morrison. You're like, how can they all work together in unison? But
only in WWE. That's how.
Exactly.
We've got one from Carol Wands. Here she is. Great egg herself. Good afternoon, Alex and Louis. Popping in to drop some cash and say good luck to Louis on Quizzlemania this week. Well done, Carol. Coming in second is not a bad thing. Just don't come in last. Yeah, sure. If you're not first, you're last, in my opinion. We all know Tempest is retaining. Oh, dear. Will still be a fun watch, though. Hashtag Elite Good Egg. Hashtag Team Tempest. I mean, I thought she was Team Louis for a second there, and she just had a heel turn mid-Ultra Chat.
Yeah. I mean, I always come first, so I'm fine.
After all of these, virtual hugs we've given her, Lou, and this is what we get.
Not happy.
And you say you always come in first, singly.
Yeah.
Here he is, Adam Pearson. Right on cue, Adam Pearson, Alex and Louie, my favorite.
Well, I mean, is mine and Adam? Speaking of quizzes, is mine and Adam Pearson's battle for next week confirmed?
It is. That is exactly, Louis, why I brought it up. On Talk Wrestling next Monday on Talk Sport 2, 7 p.m. 8:45 is when the quiz goes down, and that will be Louis Dangoor going head-to-head with our very own lovely Adam Pearson. Anything you want to say to the challenger, Louis, being the veteran of the quiz that you are?
Yes. I am going to take him down, beat him like I did at Quizlemania when he was on 23, I believe. I'm then going to come on to Wrestling Daily at 9:30 because we're going to have that special show on Monday, and you're going to introduce me as the Talk Wrestling quiz champion.
Don't tell me what to do, man. I'm a grown man. I will do that for you if you are successful. I do think Adam's got something in his locker though, so let's see.
I mean,
also,
Quizlemania this year. Sorry, go on.
Adam Southfield's right. That's exactly why I said that saying, because it's a great film. Talladega
I'm going
Nights.
to pretend like I know what it is and nod. But listen, why I'm going to win at Quizlemania this week? Right. Think about it this way. Tempest, yes, you ask him about wrestling from 1936, who won the WWE World Universal Multiversal Champion. He'll tell you. But he doesn't watch current day WWE because it's so bad. You ask him what happens on Raw 3 weeks ago, he won't know. Me, I'll know. Who has broken news this year? Is it Tempest? No. Is it Ollie? No. Is it Luke? No. Is it Andy? No. Is it Pete? No.
He's kind of Andy.
I've broken news. No, he's not broken news.
It doesn't. Yeah, but it's not about breaking news, is it? It's about knowing the news.
Breaking news. Breaking
Okay.
news.
If you say
I've
so.
broken.
If you say so. Alex, will you still love Louis if he loses at Quizlemania? Of course I will. Louis is my guy, but I will have that little bit of dad disappointment, just a little bit, if he doesn't come back with a dub. But
with you and my actual dad disappointment. I don't know what's worse.
Look, I still feel like we need a second shot at the tag belts on Quizlemania. We were so close, and Datsun just a goddamn cheater.
I tell you what. You've heard it here first, but I might sacrifice my win. I might say, listen, I'll vacate the title if you and I get a tag title shot.
That would be a fine use of your power, Louis. Listen, we've kept the people long enough. Thank you so much for joining us for the first edition of Wrestling Daily this week. All the best of luck to our good friend Louis Dangoor on Quizlemania. You can join me and SB3 for the prelude to that right here on Wrestle 2, and we will lead you straight in to the lovely palms of Adam Blompier and Quizlemania on Parts Fun Known. So please do join us tomorrow for a lovely jam. I mean, that's a evening packed because Quizlemania is like 7 hours long. And make sure you join us. Steph Chase will be here Thursday and Louis will be back, hopefully, with a crown on Friday. So thank you for joining us, guys. We appreciate all of your great chats, your ultra chats, and we will see you again tomorrow.